Today's topic, I hope that you read it in our email, is about the morning routines and how to boost confidence through them. Okay. To get started, besides introducing ourselves, I really want to mention that this comes, at least from my side, it comes from a place of being human and humble, and the perspective of I'm getting there as we're learning. Never is it coming from a place of oh, look at me, I cracked the code, I have an amazing morning routine, and this is what I do, and I want to show it off to you. Nowadays, you see it in social media, you see it everywhere. Even if it's a quick reel of get ready with me, and you see people getting bright and early and nice and perky, you never see people with puffy eyes like I have today. Everybody seems to have it on social media, right? But the truth of it is that I sometimes struggle with the morning routines. I don't have a set one per se that I follow every single day the same. But this is where the beauty of this webinar is going to come from, because we are going to see what you do. And I want you guys to contribute and tell us. And this is not like a one-man show or a two-man show. Tell us what you do. Tell us what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And I think that it's particularly different for people that have worked on ships, because not one morning is the same for the next one. You have your debark, you have your port days, you have your sea days, you have your emergency sea days. So there's no way you can have a morning routine that is exactly the same. Then you have your alphas, then you have your bravos that wake you up in the middle of the night. So every day is different. And maybe that's the story that I tell myself. That's the reason why I struggle to have a really set morning routine now that I'm on land after 15 years on ships. But I'm trying, and I'm getting there, and I'm still debating to see whether I'm going to be a morning routine type of person, okay? But nonetheless, having said that, there is a significance in the morning routines. Barbara, please feel free to jump in anytime that you wish, in case there's something else. And same thing for you guys. If anybody has something to mention, please feel free to stop me.
Christian, I love that, and I love the honesty and transparency and I guess humanity and how you said it, because it's a really good way to start off, is that, there's no perfect formula. And anybody says, there's like a book out there that's called the 5 a.m. something. There's all these people that swear that it's got to be this way or that way. I think one of the most powerful things is that, I see at least in leadership, is that a lot of people that have this insane rigidity in their routines, it's because they have this need for control. And this is the one thing that they can control. And so for me, like Christian, like you said, my morning routine is fluid. And I think that that's listening to yourself and what your needs are. You might have a Saturday morning that you want to sleep in, or you want to stay in bed with your kids, and when we have this rigidity in life, we don't leave any space for surprises. We don't leave any space for fun and unexpected moments. We don't leave any space at parties. If you got to be in bed by 9 o'clock, you don't leave any space to stay up a little bit later and have moments that are special and unique. So I love that you highlighted that, because I think that that's a really good counterbalance to, people saying that only high performers do this. I think that's a crock of what. And I really believe that even that word high performing people is dangerous to say. It's like, why do we all have to be the same? Why do we all have, life wouldn't be fun if we were all, winning the marathons and we were all gold medalists. We're all supposed to be different for a reason. And I think that your morning routine is just another example of this. We're going to give you some examples of people and things that work, and you have to find the one that really truly works for you, that honors your family, that honors the place in your life. I think that's critically important. So great point, Christian.
Awesome. So yeah, you see, I knew that my lazy day would pay off one day. So that's typically my Saturday or my Sunday, right? And it's okay to be human every now and then. That's something that a good friend of mine used to tell me on board every now and then. It's like, Christian, it's okay to be human. But like you say, it's we are not forced, but we're driven, especially all of us that are here. I mean, we're here for a reason, and you're waking up and you're choosing to give your life 1 hour of your time to a webinar to listen in and participate. There's a reason behind it. You're investing in yourself, in your well-being, in your future, in your career, and that comes with the with the profile that we're built with, right? You're wired in such a way that I can guarantee that you're there with me when I say that um, everything around us is like so high paced, and that sometimes you feel like if you don't catch up, you're going to be left behind. But it's okay to be human every now and then. It's okay to take that one day off, or like you mentioned, the morning to stay in bed with your kids. I don't have kids, but I gladly pretend I do. So just so I can stay those extra few minutes in bed. So nonetheless, having said that, the significance of the morning routine and the science behind it, I think there's a lot of research behind it, the psychology of the confidence and how it influences your actions. That one has also been, and you can see it everywhere. There's even a great speech. It's like a graduation speech of someone saying, "You want to conquer your days," and I think it's someone from the military. I don't have the right source, but I'm sure you've heard it. And he goes about saying, "You want to start a good day. You want to have a good day. Start with one thing: do your bed." And it's just the one thing, right? And to be honest, I also don't do my on ships. I had someone that always did it for me, but I pick up the towel, right? Or I set up my pillows, or I just do something so that you feel accomplished. But it's that one ticking off the box of doing something. No shower, no coffee. It's a morning. It's either a rev or a huge flood. I'll say, yes, I know, exactly like that. But it's that feeling, and I think that the science behind it, it's just the psychology behind it is ticking off that checklist, that mental checklist of yours on a daily basis of having done the first step. I know that doing your bed, my mom used to tell me, I was like, that's the first thing you do. That's where because growing up, I didn't have someone doing my bed. Of course, I had to do it. And she would tell me, you're going to go back to your bedroom after a day of going to school. And then that's the first thing you're going to see. So make sure that it's nice and welcoming for when you return. And it's the doing your bed or brushing your teeth or washing your face, whatever it is. But it's doing the one thing that you do every morning so that it feels like you're accomplishing something. And I think there's a logic behind it because it's like going to the gym. We've all been there, and I've been on that fitness strike, not strike, fitness streak where I'm doing it, and you just feel so accomplished after the first 5 minutes. But getting there and taking those either the ride or the elevator or the walk to the gym, that was the hardest part, right? So waking up, I guess it's the same. So you hit that snooze button, that's the worst. I'm not a snoozer. Who here is a snoozer? Because I put like 5, 6 alarms. I set them up. First one rings, and I don't even sometimes I don't even let the first one ring because my brain is already wired knowing that I have to wake up at 6 in the morning or 7:30 or what have you. During debark days, I would never hear my alarm go off because I was mentally awake and get ready to wake up at 5 in the morning before the ship docked. So it, it's just that having that thing ready with the alarms and being ready for it to tackle the day, right? But also it's that logic behind having the thing done, having the one thing checked off your list that gets you propelled onto your day. And like I mentioned about the gym, I mentioned about whatever it is your routine that you do in the morning to get you ready to conquer the day, right? And then after the first set or after the first task or after the 5 minutes in the gym, everything seems to go downhill and you seem to require less effort because I'm pretty sure that chemically dopamine hits. I'm pretty sure that spiritually you feel like super strong and empowered, and professionally you feel like you've got this, right? That you're awake at the same time that Wall Street is open and that you're ready to manage the world the same way as the rest of the world, right? So I guess that's the logic behind it. But if you have anything that you want to share so far, like what works for you, what doesn't work for you, like I said, I don't have a set one that I follow on a day-to-day, but I do love watching those videos or those YouTube videos or those TikToks when you see people getting ready and then making coffee and conquering the day. And then sometimes I think, oh, I really want to start doing that. Maybe I'm gonna. But to this date, after 3 years on land, I still can't manage to have one that is the same from day to day. But hopefully, I will start adapting one that will work for me. So we discussed the scientific insights on how morning routines can affect the
I think
confidence.
Jenny has her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you, Christian. Good morning, everyone. So yeah, for me, as I said the other day, the first thing that I did is like to put a message in my alarm. So I just know see the time, like it's something like, like today is a good day, or today will be amazing, or we can do it. And I put the arm like a doing the strength thing, things like that. Like for me, it's something like I don't know how to handle yet. And it's like for me, I am like the flower, like with the sun is coming up, I coming up like, hey, everything is fine. But when it's raining and it's really gray, for me, it's so difficult to get up. It's like, oh my God, what is happening with today? But it's just the weather. So yeah, it's something that for me, like for example, today in Bogota is really, really cold. We are having really rainy days. So it's like, okay, it's just the weather. We can get up. I don't need to go out. I will stay inside. So, but it's okay. Yeah, but I start with the message. And as you said, the first thing that I did is my bed. I feel when I don't do it, it's like a mess. Like I start with a mess. And I used to do it in the cruise ship as well. Like
Awesome.
my they are saying like, but it's just one thing. I say exactly, it's just one. It won't take you like 30 seconds. Just do it, so when you come back to have a rest, you see that it's something nice waiting for you. Because sometimes, like for example, for me, when I go to bed and it's not and I didn't do it for any reason, I come back and I see like, like the sheets are in the bottom and the other one, and I are already tired, and it's like, oh my God, I don't want, so for me, that's important to end the day well.
Exactly, and that's a really really valid and strong point. I remember when I was in this healthy streak where I was doing my exercise on a daily. Well, I mean, that's you telling your kids to fix your bed first. Yes, 100%. But also what Jamie just mentioned about the night prior, I'm a firm believer, and this one I will tell you, I believe it with my heart and soul, that your night influences and dictates pretty much how your morning is going to be. If you don't invest in a proper good night rest, or I tell my family and I told my mother, it's like, invest in a good mattress, invest in good pillows. People sometimes like, oh, some people might not need it. I need it. I need a good pillow. I need a good mattress. And we all love going to those hotels that have those fluffy pillows, and sometimes they even have like pillow menus. Investing in a good sleep, I mean, you're spending 8 hours of your day resetting. That's the way we were built, right? Like the human mind and body is meant to rest, to recover and recharge. We pretty much like an iPhone. We don't go a whole day without a battery. We have to recharge, or else it drains completely. So I think that preparing everything the night prior is what helped me have a successful morning. um, Starting from
Yeah, and
what I was.
Christian, I want to add something to that about the sleep. Is that sorry to interrupt? Is that there's so much neuroscience that is coming out right now. Because there was this fad of people bragging about how little sleep that they got. Is that, oh, I can operate on 5 hours of sleep. I'm this super person. And really, truly, someone who says that or says that out loud, it's in an effort to make themselves look bigger than the other person. And it's that they're different. But really, truly, the science, and I've talked about the blue zones, that documentary. When you look at people that are 100 years old that live into their 90s, those people, God bless my 93-year-old grandma, you are not allowed to call her before 8:30 every morning because she sleeps. They are getting over 8 hours of sleep, if not more, every single night because their brain is regenerating. And the research is showing is that prevents dementia. It prevents so many things because your brain is working on overdrive and pushing all these chemicals through, and then it needs this time for your cortisol to start to detox. And if you don't give yourself enough time, then that can have negative impacts down the road. So Jenny, don't feel, I can relate to you, Jamie, 100 times over, because I'm the snoozer. I'm not the morning person. I have to put my gym shoes on the side of my bed so I trip over them when I wake up. But Mel Robbins talks a lot about this. And if you're not, she talks about not being a morning person, and she talks about some really good hacks that she uses. And I think the hack for me is just really gratitude, is that just the first thoughts that go into my head is not, it's so easy to go, oh, it's hard for me to get up in the morning. Why can't I do this? Everybody else can do it. Don't start your morning that way. Start your morning with saying, today's going to be an amazing day. My brain is so happy that it got rest. And I find that my body is very synchronized with the sunrise. And so if the sun is not up, man, it's painful. It's painful. So right now the time zones are going to change in the US. And so I'm so excited because I'm going to be popping out of bed at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. Where now the sun is not rising until like 7:30. So I just think that honoring what your natural rhythm, because every single person's rhythm is different, and knowing that there's not one right specific way. The most important thing is that you're getting the volume of sleep that you need.
Right. And last night I read something about people having a golden hour, and my golden hour might be different from yours. Barbara's might be 6 in the morning doing yoga on the beach. Mine could be at 1:30 p.m. having a coffee and after lunch, right? Or
My
but it's
husband's is at 2 a.m. Oh my God.
see, and typically a morning person ends up married to a night owl, right? And that's what makes it even the more difficult, because sometimes the people that you live with or your partner, they're in a completely different time zone, to say the least.
And it's back to this point of there's not right or wrong. It's just my husband loves the nighttime because he finds it to be quiet. Nobody can text him, nobody can call him. He's a very creative person. If any of you are creative, you know that he finds that time is silent and introspective, and where other people find that 4 a.m. time is that for them. And one is not right and one is not wrong. But it's about being able to respect and honor what your time is.
And exactly, 100%. And going back to the investing in your morning by investing on it from the night prior, besides the sleep, what also I knew that would help me with my nutrition was to see what I was having for dinner. Like if you know that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I want to have a healthy day and a healthy start, I knew how groggy I would feel if I had like tons of sugar, and by tons I mean that sometimes I would snack on a bag of cereal and eat half the bag just watching TV, right? Of course, I'm not going to wake up at 7 in the morning or at 8, or I will because I have to work, but I'm not going to be the same perky person I would have been should I have gone to bed. For me, work to go to bed slightly hungry. I mean, not with hunger pains, but slightly enough to tell my brain like, okay, go to bed now, because if not, you're going to start feeling really hungry, and then hunger would wake me up as well, and I would be excited to have like a nice breakfast the following morning. That would do the trick for me, right? Like a donkey with a carrot. Or glasses of wine. Yes, of course. That was at the end of every voyage. Here, maybe twice a week. But it's that for me, I think it's the science behind it as well. It goes back, it's a full circle, and you have to invest in it from the night prior. Some people, my dad used to set up his all his work clothes the night prior and iron them and get them ready. And no, I mean, I can't do that much. For me, it was just going to bed early and making sure that I had a nice meal so that I could wake up the following morning not feeling groggy and with a heavy stomach. But pretty much that. Speaking about the waking up times, there's a book out there that I swear to you, it's probably the last book I'm ever going to read. It's the 5 a.m. Club. I have no interest in being part of the 5 a.m. Club. You guys try it. You let me know how that works for you. But one thing they don't tell you is that 5 a.m. people, they go to bed at 7 p.m. They brag about the early mornings, but they don't tell you that they go to bed at 7. And Sebastian, Barbara's husband, he goes to bed late and he wakes up rather early as well. But I mean, if he woke up at 5 in the morning every morning, he'd be asleep by 7 as well, and all those creative juices that he has at nighttime wouldn't work out. So I guess that what I'm saying behind all this is find the right time for you. Finding, if you're a night owl, be proud of it. Rock those wings. If you're a early worm, good job wiggling your way out of bed. We do what we do.
And some people love it, right? And I think that the thing is it's not right or wrong, but it's just going, okay, and you have seasons too. Like when I was with Amazon, it's the only time I could get to the gym was at 5 a.m. And so that was okay for me. Was I a lot of fun at 8:30 at night? No way, because I was like a zombie falling asleep at dinner parties. And so I think and think about when you have kids, like when you have newborns, your babies are in bed by 7 o'clock. My kids now go to bed at 9 or 9:30. And so your seasons change, and that goes back to our us being able to be flexible, being able to, I think also, jobs change, work schedules change. But the most important thing is honoring what your body needs and what you need in a specific season.
Absolutely. 100%. So that's that. And just to close that little chapter of finding your time, everybody's different. We're all wired differently. Imagine if the world, everybody performed at the same rate at the same time, it would be chaos. So there's enough of us to take different shifts. I will, and we all work differently. We all have different potentials, different. So what I'm saying, and I guess I'm saying it to myself as well, I don't have to mimic or shadow someone else's routine as aesthetic as it looks online. We really don't know what lies behind it. There's a lot of great entrepreneurs out there and business men and women that will tell you they don't have a morning routine. They just wake up. And there's even one that I read recently that the first thing he does, it's a CEO in Switzerland, and the first thing he does in the morning is wake up and scroll in his Instagram. I'm not sure who he follows or what he does, but it's completely opposite to what people will tell you. But then again, it shows you it's not all about the morning routine. It's about the decisions and the steps we take towards, I mean, he's not a CEO for no reason, right? So just because he starts his morning routine like that, it doesn't mean that he's going to be set up for failure. He probably has different things throughout the day that took him where he is and will continue being where he is. So with that, Barbara, can you tell us a little bit about I know that you mentioned Mel Robbins, but I know that there's something about her that about the, it was like a 5-second rule that you had mentioned.
Yeah, so Mel has a couple really great things, because again, she has a hard time getting up in the morning, and so she talks really openly about it. And I think that brings attention to her, because not a lot of people do. A lot of people are in this high performing, you gotta do this to be, excellent at your life. And if you don't do this, you're compromising yourself and this and that. And she just says, hey, I have a hard time getting up in the morning. So you guys have to watch it on her YouTube. She has a video of herself. There's 2 techniques that she uses. One is like and we've talked about before, the what is it, Atomic Habits, that he talks about like eliminating barriers to, if you want to go to the gym, then sleep in your gym clothes if you have a hard time getting up in the morning. But she also talked about, she uses something, she calls it nap, like a rocket launch, naps off, is that as soon as you wake up in the morning, and as loud as you possibly can, you spell it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you get up out of bed, and how it works so well. And then the other thing that she does is that it's so funny, this video, but it's so real and authentic, is that the other thing that she does is that she literally crawls out of bed. So she like rolls over and just keeps moving, crawling on the floor to get to the bathroom. And she's just like, hey, I know I got to get up. I know it's painful. And she talks a lot about this idea of like snoozing and not wanting to wake up for the day, is that if that's something, and I've been thinking a lot about it, because her premise is basically saying is that, hey, what is the deep down reason that you don't want to wake up for life? Like whatever is burning in our belly is that thing that should wake us up in the morning. And it's interesting, because if for those of you that have kids, like when you have small infants, you have a baby crying in the other room, and you just jump out of bed. There's no even room for hesitation, because that baby is the urgency of getting up. When you kind of have this lackadaisical morning, you're kind of like, well, just snooze. And so it's creating one of those moments of urgency. And for me, getting to the gym in the morning was that I found a gym in my neighborhood, because I do not like going to the gym. I know I have to. Now I'm in my 40s. But one of the things that I found is that my gym, you have to sign up for the class the night before. And if you miss the class, they charge you $15. And I'm a frugal Betty over here, so God knows I'm not going to pay $15 to miss a class. So I will run out of bed with, my toothbrush hanging out of my mouth and show up at the gym. So just figuring out, Mel just is really open and honest and transparent about like, what are those, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that sure works. I haven't done the crawling out of bed works. but just going, okay, what motivators do I need in place to, and for me, it's gratitude, is opening your eyes and just immediately thinking about how great your day is going to be. She also talks about your night routine, that her night routine is the thing that transformed her morning routine. And that's something that is really important for me, is that I found that I would, as soon as I wake up, I hit the ground running, and I didn't have time to schedule my day. So before I go to bed, I sit with my, I have a paper notebook. I sit with my kind of agenda, and I just walk through what I have on schedule for the next day. And that in the morning doesn't leave it to feel unexpected or surprised, because I know what I'm walking into, and I made a choice about what I'm going to do in that day. So for me, she has a whole podcast on that one. Yeah. Go ahead,
And
Kristen.
it's pretty much just like setting a mental timer of saying, okay, within 5 minutes, it's like setting a 5 minutes countdown, and then after 5 seconds,
5
after 5
seconds.
seconds, I get up and do it.
It's 5 seconds only. That when your alarm gets off, or you're in that falling back asleep or not, she just says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom, gets up. And actually, it's funny because the snoozing, which again, I'm a guilty culprit of it, is that the snoozing, whenever you do snooze, your body wakes up from your REM cycle, from your sleeping cycle, which is a 90-minute sleep cycle. But whenever you snooze, you wake up, your cycle starts over again. So it's actually harder to get up later on because you're going back into that deep sleep. So it's very interesting. And go ahead.
And that, sorry to interrupt, and that debunks the power naps, because I remember on ships, people used to tell us, oh, I just took a 10-minute power nap. I was like, what? 10 minutes? It's like, for me, 10 minutes is like someone hit me on the brain. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna feel like a zombie. I'm gonna feel worse than I felt.
I know. I'm the exact same way. Some people can do it though. It just goes to one of my very dear friends. She does power naps for 15 minutes every day. I'm like, I don't even lay down in my bed unless I get 2 hours. And I'm not a napper, but I think I'm not a napper because I get really good sleep at night.
And on ships, I was. How about the rest of you guys? On ships, I was a napper, but then again, on ships, your date started at 7 in the morning, and then it didn't end until 2 in the morning the following day, right? So we had to cut it in half. You had to take that 1 hour nap that we all did. I know Michelle was a napper for sure. Sorry to put you on the spotlight. Go ahead, Michelle.
I actually wasn't a napper, especially sea days, because
You
I
were
wake
not?
up. No, I can't nap. I'm very cranky when I wake up from a nap, and a nap for me has to be like 4 to 6 hours. So on sea days, I actually used to not go back to my cabin. I used to stay in the mess and talk to people and sit, and I never, if I went to my cabin, I would go to my cabin for 30 minutes just to kind of like sit there and kind of recharge or brush my teeth, and then go back to work. But if I changed my clothes, or if I got like I would come back in the afternoon and I would be super cranky, because I once I'm going. I'm a terrible napper. Like, even when I was little and in preschool, and they would try to make you nap in preschool, I was terrible at it. Like, that time didn't work for me. It was after schools when I wanted a nap when I was a kid. I actually used to fall asleep on the bus. One time I fell off the seat in my bus and slid all the way forward on the bus when I was a kid, because that was my nap time. But like, once I grew out of taking naps, I like, my body just doesn't, it's not really good at it at all. Once I'm up for the day, and I've got to go, and I've got to keep going until like I'm done. And then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, let's go.
Good. That would have been good to know 15 years ago. I could have had more help, and decided not to call you because I thought that you were taking a break when you were not working.
No, I'm like always there, Christian. You can always call me. I was always like, yeah, sure, whatever. Hey, there's 23 pallets on the I-95. Can you move them up to the sports deck? Okay, I'm right on that, Christian.
That was the 100%. So yeah, thank you, Barbara. Thanks, Michelle. 100% with the and then defining it, and then 5-second rule. That's something that I think I remember I heard it before, but this brings me to my next topic. There's little things here and there that we all want to implement. At least myself, I know that I want to try this, I want to try that. Maybe not waking up at 5 in the morning. Eventually, maybe I will, but But this goes to my next point of just introducing and adding adding things on a gradual implementation, right? Just consistency. It's more the showing up and then doing it on a daily basis rather than changing the world in one day, right? If I want to get back in track with my gym sessions, I'm not going to be able to go for an hour and a half and lift as much as I was lifting or run as much as I was running. Maybe I'm going to start with 1 minute a day, right? As ridiculous as it may sound, 1 minute's not going to change anything on my first day. But then by day 5, when it's 5 minutes, I'm going to start seeing a change. And I know there's a theory that we know. It's just the fact of knowing what and implementing it. But I know that at least for me, unless I'm like extremely inspired by it, I can make like a super drastic change. But if it's something that goes against, I don't want to say the nature of my body, but it's something that goes against from the habits that you built and you're trying to make up a new one, I think there's a key aspect and there's a magic behind gradually implementing it slowly but steadily. And just increasing the dose. So there's a bumper sticker or a meme that I saw lately that said, it was like a doctor's note, and it said, step 1, find what makes you feel good or what makes you feel great. And then second, increase the dosage. So it's just looking at what works for you. And 2, just increase it slowly, right? And
Christian, in Atomic Habits, that book by James Clear, if you guys haven't read it, for sure read it, is he talks about a gentleman that he would go to the gym for 1 minute every single day, and then he would increase it. So it would be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And they're like, what is he doing? He's paying for a gym membership. He would get his clothes on, go, lift a weight, look around. And then his point was he was creating the habit. He was like, I need to create the habit of this in my life. And he talks about habit stacking and all that stuff. But again, I go back to like just being kind to yourself, being flexible, honoring different seasons. You're going to have seasons when you're like, you're killing it. You can get to the gym on a consistent basis. I just got back from a trip and my routine got off. But that's okay. I don't need to beat myself up over it. I just go, okay, my routine got off. So what does this mean? I haven't gotten to the gym. I want to go 3 times a week. So it's okay to just go for a walk. The point is to, do what you break it down to the principles. Okay, why do I want to go to the gym? I want to go to the gym because for my heart health, to keep me, I'm not in it to lose weight. I'm in it to just be healthy and have my kids watch, a healthy mom. And so, okay, a walk could be there. There's lots of people that don't have gym memberships. And so breaking it down to what your actual purpose is and then stacking that.
Another thing, thanks, Laura. Another thing that, at least for me, remember when I mentioned that sometimes one of my theories was that we were all running away from something when we joined ships. And by this, I don't necessarily mean like criminal running away from something big. It could be something as, for me, it was routine. I did not want to fall into the same and follow the exact same steps that all my neighbors were doing and the community that I was growing up with was doing. I did not want to follow the exact same steps and then just be like a copy paste and live what everyone else around me was doing. I knew there was a world out there and I wanted to escape from that and just continue doing it. And as much as I was running away from it, there was a point on board that I was running towards something. That's when I met my partner and when I was building my house or when I was building my career. And then the running away from something turned into running towards something. But something that I ran away from was the routine. And now that I'm on land, I was really fearful. And my first year, I worked corporate when I came online, and I was following it before the pandemic. I was following an extremely routinary morning from Monday through Friday, sometimes even Saturday and Sunday evenings type of work. And it was the same thing every single day. And it was exactly what I was running for. And like deep down in my gut, I was not feeling like that was me. I was like, I don't like this. Like there was something, but I was there and it was an honor and I had to do it. And I pushed myself to do it. But deep down, pandemic hits. Then I meet Barbara once again, and then she threw a fishing net and saved me from this routine. And all of a sudden, I'm working again in a week that not every day is the same. My Mondays are different from my Tuesdays, and I love this. So I guess something can be said to that matter as well. Not every weekday has to be the same, right? Maybe your Mondays are different from your Wednesdays or your Tuesdays, and I get so much gratification from that, knowing that each day is different, and I treat it differently because on Monday I do this, on Tuesdays I do that. So maybe there is a routine behind it, and I'm just being negligent about it and not paying attention, I'm being oblivious and not wanting to acknowledge that I do have a routine. Maybe I do, and looking at it from the outside. But this I will tell you, and we all know it. It's having we all have those little steps that we take on a daily basis when we get out of bed, when we start our day, that get us going, and that motivate us towards having a great day. Like, for example, today after our webinar, I will feel accomplished. I know that I met with you guys, that we all pitched in, that there was a rain of ideas, that we all grew together. And whether we implement it today or not, at least there's a seed in my brain that I know, okay, so this worked for Barbara. Oh, Jamie mentioned this. Jose mentioned the coffee, or what worked for Michelle. But it's the little things that will continue to add up towards where we want to get, and towards where we want to become. How about you guys? Does anyone have a routine to share? Do you do the same Monday through Friday, and does that work for you? Again, someone might do it. Like, for example, my brother, if he does something different from Monday through Friday, it's like you break his routine, and you break his the scheme that he works under, and he'll completely continue falling down the stairs and stumble down the whole rest of the week because one day was different from the rest. Again, we're all different on that. Anyone want to share a little bit about their? Go ahead, Michelle.
So it kind of doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. Kind of the only thing that really matters is if I have a roommate or not. So I always try to like wake up, and the first thing I do when I kind of start getting like waking up and moving around is drink water. I have a cup of water next to my bed. I make sure it's full before I go to sleep. I have a couple sips. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, and I try not to let myself really drink anything else. I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm a tea girl. So I'm not allowed to have my tea until I drink at least like 20 ounces of water. Like, I need to get through that cup of water before I do anything. When I lived in Korea, I didn't have a roommate like I have on ships. So usually in the morning, it's something I've done my whole life. I just turn on the news. I just need to kind of see what's going on in the world, what the weather is, hear what's going on. Or if not, then I don't listen to anything. That's my quiet time in the morning, because I've always had jobs where, like customer service, I need the quiet in the morning before I go into the chaos, because that's how I kind of like relax. That's how I kind of get my brain in order. That's kind of how I sort through everything or what I need to do in the morning. And then depending on my job, most jobs that I have, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I always make a checklist to make sure I'm working through my daily goals, my weekly goals for that week, my monthly stuff. Like, even when I worked in Korea, when I was teaching English during the pandemic, like, people would come into my classroom and they're like, you have a check sheet for every day? I'm like, yeah, I need to make sure, am I checking my kids' listening homework? Am I taking attendance? Like, I made it at the beginning to make sure I knew what to do. And everyone would be like, you're still using that? I'm like, yes, I am. So I would use it my whole entire contract. When I was HR specialist, I did the same thing, because there's some things I do once a quarter, some things I would do once a month, some things I had to do every week. So if I just write it down and check it off and make sure it's getting done, to just kind of keep myself on track. And then I am one of those people that makes my bed every morning. It has to be done. Like, if I walk in my room in the middle of the day and I'm like, why is my bed made? I just make my bed. Like, in my house, my dishes have to be done before I go to bed. I don't like to wake up in the morning and go to the sink and look and something be there. I tell myself, no, go to bed. You can do the dishes in the morning. I will get out of my bed or walk past the kitchen and just go, you know what? Let me just do it, because I hate waking up and there being something in the sink when I get there. So those are just kind of like the consistent things. It doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. Like, it kind of has to be like, my room has to be clean, my area has to be clean. I don't like waking up in the morning and there being a mess. I need to have my water, I need to have my quiet time, and I need to make sure that I have my keeping myself on track. Because at least those simple things, no matter where I am or what I'm doing or what job I have, I can do those simple things every day. I can't say there's an excuse for not doing those kind of things. Like, if I'm in a hotel when I'm traveling, I can make sure that my room is clean, or my cabin is clean, or my apartment is clean, and get my stuff together. I can make sure that I have water next to my bed, and I'm making sure that I have my water You know, I can make sure that I have my list of stuff. So at least that there's no excuses. There's some things that you can just like, oh, I can't do this, I'm not home, or I can't do this, I'm not in my own country, I can't do this. But those things I have control over and I can kind of keep track of, and they're familiar, and I can just keep those consistent no matter where I am or what I'm doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. And of course, you mentioned that they're simple things, but we all know, right? It's thoughts that become little actions, actions that become habits, and habits that become routines. And at the end of the day, it's who you are and what you will become and what you're running towards becoming, right? So it's as simple as they may look. It's what builds you up, right? It's like your DNA and how you're being built. Thanks for sharing, Michelle. Juliana, go ahead.
Hi, sorry. It's just I'm trying to do two things at the same time. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. So, kind of piggybacking a little bit on what everybody has said, going from ships that, believe it or not, we did have a routine, and yes, it was different, but it was a structured routine, whether it was a sea day or a port day, and then going, like, they drop you off on land, and it's like you're on your own. You have to figure it out. And I've tried that 5 a.m. club with no luck. But there are certain things that I've been trying to implement that kind of work for me. I try and have a 30-minute walk every morning, just kind of to activate my day. I am a coffee drinker, so after that, I'll go straight into coffee. But it's just a structured routine kind of sets your day. And I think the one thing I also do is make my bed. I did it all the way from ships as well. It is kind of having control, but like they all said, it's a one thing I know I can control. That I don't know what's going to play out for the rest of the day. And especially when I do events.
I missed that, Juliana. What's the one thing you can control? I missed that.
Making my bed.
Okay. Sorry, keep
So
going.
I know I'm going to have a tidy space when I come back. And when I do events, and then everything is just like a high pace, nonstop, 24/7 during the days of events that I have. So just knowing that I can come back to a tidy space just gives me some peace of mind.
100%. And I guess that's something that we all can agree then. And I do thank you so much for everyone's honesty, because if we come to this webinars and that's not even the webinar, it's just going through life and everything. Now social media and books, everyone can write a book. Anyone can have a book published. And if we go by people are saying, oh, because I read it in a book. I remember growing up, my whole family used to worship people. It's like, oh, I read it in the book and I'm doing it what the book says. Well, almost anyone can write a book now, right? And AI can write a book for you now, and you can have it edited and published. And if you're following someone else's and taking it by law and taking their word by law and trying to adapt it, we're being graded, and maybe we're trying to do things that are not in our skill level. Maybe it's not our skill set. We're asking people. Yesterday I saw a video of it was a person, and she's blind, and the whole audience is cheering on her. I think it's like a school basketball game, and they're using a cane to tap on where the hoop is so that she can shoot. And she scores, right, and she makes it in, and everybody starts cheering and clapping. And I'm just thinking, I don't know. I was like, what? I'm pretty sure she has different abilities, and I was really torn with my opinion there, because why are we forcing her, and why is she being forced to fit in and playing basketball when she can't see? I mean, there's so many other things that she could do that she would be fantastic at. But I think it's the problem and the struggle and the challenge that we have with our school systems and with our education, that everybody's being graded by the same skills and by the same expectations, when we're all so different and we're all wired differently and we all think so differently. And every world is their own, every mind is like its own universe, and we can't assume that someone else is going to think or live the exact same way that I do. So I do thank you. With that, I go back to thanking you for your honesty, for showing up and telling us what works for you, what doesn't work for you. I came in full disclosure telling you I don't have a morning routine. It's different for me every day, and I take pride in it. I like that every day is different. I like my sleeping day. I like the day that I wake up in the morning, not as much. I'm more like a night person. but it's getting there, and also balancing it with the people that you live with, because typically night owls marry morning worms, and that's what makes it a challenge sometimes. It's finding that balance in everything in life that we do. So I guess as key takeaways from today, one that I'm taking away is implementation, the gradual implementation, right? The example that Barbara mentioned about the person that paid a gym membership to go for a minute every day and then slowly incrementing a minute every other day. I think it's just the showing up, the consistency versus the intensity. I think that's a key aspect into adapting and implementing something into our lives, whether it be professional or mental or spiritual. There's a lot of there has been, I think, through the past, a lot of negligence and a lot of obliviousness into paying attention to people's mental health. And more, I see how important it is to keep a balance and to keep your mind and your sanity. Something that we, at least during my time in ships, it was not something that was being catered to. Someone could be going through a lot of stress and you go down to medical and you give you ibuprofen and a bag of ice and good luck, go back to your shift or take a break and then go back to the grind, right? But more and more now in actuality, in reality, we see that how important it is to have that mental peace mindset as well, so that we can tackle our day to day.